The Dodgers lost Tanner Scott to an injury last night. They won a game, they lost a closer. Isn't that fun? We're going to talk about the injury, what we think it means for Tanner Scott's future without a nice little incision on that elbow. Anyways, this is all Dodgers. Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast, and we don't really need to meh because I would call it a sad day. I would call it a bad day because the Dodgers lose their closer, Tanner Scott, to a forearm issue. My name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media machines. Also joining me is a man who very much wants to talk about this. So much so he's calling in from his car. This is Jeff Snyder. Snydog, give him a follow on the social media machine as well. And yeah, this is big news for the Dodgers, guys. Goes down with a forearm injury and did not look great. And Jeff, I would say the postgame did not make it feel any better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know that made it any worse because I think anybody watching the game could see, oh crap, he just blew out his arm.
Yeah.
And whether that's the UCL or something else remains to be seen. But it was pretty clear by the way he walked off that he was in a lot of pain and not happy about it. And but for Dave Roberts to actually mention his emotional state
Yeah.
in his post game press conference. I mean, that's the thing. Like Tanner Scott, for all his struggles and everything, the dude's a competitor. He wants to be the best. He wants to be out there, and to have that. It's just a devastating moment for any pitcher,
Yeah.
and we've seen it unfortunately way too many times with the Dodgers having like sometimes the injuries are things we find out about later, but too many times we've seen it with Dustin May, with Clayton Kershaw, guys walking off the mound with injuries that we know have just ended their season,
Yeah.
and it's an emotional time for the pitcher.
Yeah, and seeing this look we have on the screen, obviously MLB is probably going to demonetize this video, but it's all good. This is just for all of us to talk about this. But the stretching of the forearm, you never like to see that. And of course, after the game, this is the thing I kind of looked at the most. Dave Roberts saying there was a sting in the forearm. That tells you there was an injury. That tells you something might have ripped or torn. There is a sprain in that forearm elbow injury or area, which usually means Tommy John is just around the corner. We'll kind of give our speculation and reactions in just a second. But yeah, the not emotionally well. You usually don't hear Dave say things like that, so that's the one that definitely adds fuel to the fire of this guy is going to be gone for a hot minute. Well, again, we'll speculate on that for a second. What we're expecting to hear, the MRI is coming today, but I'm going to tell folks first while we're here about Bet Online. It's the most trusted source, your number one source for all of your sports betting action with baseball season in full swing for everybody but Tanner Scott. There's football season right around the corner. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC, tennis, NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice, your number one choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head on over to the BetOnline casino. It has all the top Vegas-style games, including poker. There's a live casino. Do check that out. Head to the website today. Take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level up bonuses, weekly cash boosts, and more. Bet online, the game starts here. And I see the nifty camera work going on from Jeff in my peripheral, where he knew he didn't need to be on camera, so why hold it up? But now I spoiled the mystery of what's going on in the background. Jeff,
We're
first thing.
professionals, Clint. Stop telling the people.
Yeah, listen, we're gonna need to get you now a Rode mic, like on the Rode mic, not the brand, but if Rode wants to sponsor the show, we would appreciate it.
And
Uh,
maybe a camera mount for my steering wheel. So it could just sit
we
because
could
I'm
do
just
that.
it's resting on my steering. Luckily, I'm not actually driving. I'm just sitting in a parking lot.
Yeah,
So
I
so I
have.
could do this safely and
I
legally.
think this would work as this
Ooh.
kind of looks a little kinky when I put it on screen, so don't demonetize us again there, YouTube. But Duff Time. What's going on? Duff Time in the chat says it's almost certainly going to be Tommy John. And unfortunately, that's where my mind went quite immediately. My mind's going to go here listening to Diane telling everybody smash that like button for Clint Nation. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for Jeff Nation. We appreciate you guys. But my thing is absolute best case scenario. he's back in like late September. If it was just some sort of strain or inflammation or whatever, more likely than not, we are going to get the news today, tomorrow, that the MRI did not go the way they hoped. He's headed to the injured list either way. Because that's what happens when you're emotionally unwell. But I can't see a world where this does not end up in some sort of surgery. Where are you at?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. I do have to remind myself that I felt similarly about Freddie Freeman's injury just the day before,
That's
and
fair.
then he was in the lineup last night. But Freddie's injury was an impact injury. This is a, this was clearly something that happened on a pitch that Tanner Scott threw. And like, it's hard to picture what it could be other than a serious arm injury. And so that's the thing. Like, yeah, I think you're right. Best case scenario, he's only out a couple months, but it really is hard to see. I know there's a lot of tendons and ligaments and muscles and everything in your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And we can hope that it was one of the ones that doesn't require at least a year of recovery. But it's hard to picture this not being Tommy John at this point.
Yeah, I mean, despite how a lot of people, I'll use that expression, a lot of people felt about Tanner Scott and his struggles. It's a massive blow to the bullpen that is already running on fumes. I put a couple of tweets up that from folks talking about, how overused the bullpen has been. Some of the arms, Tanner Scott being one of those guys in particular, but still, it's a $20 million investment. Well, more than, but $20 million a season investment that the team made in the offseason with the expectation that this is going to be a guy who takes down the lion's share of our save opportunities, somebody that we could ride into and through the postseason and the World Series, and amid all of their struggles with pitching, was somebody at least they could rely on to show up and go to work. Maybe a little bit too much, but yeah, now you're without his services, and again, I would be. We need everybody to come to terms with the fact that be just absolutely shocked if he returns this season. Alex Renneria in the chat saying Class A just got more expensive. We got a super chat from Richie. I'll hit the gong. It says Andy better be serious at the trade deadline. And yeah, we're gonna have more trade deadline talk later this afternoon. Myself, Jeff, Kevin from the kitchen. We'll have the official blessed trade deadline primer conversation. What do you think? 4 p.m. Pacific time? We haven't figured that one out yet. We'll figure it out.
Four works for me.
Well, yeah.
We just figured it out, Clint.
We figured it out. You guys heard it here first, folks. Kevin hasn't heard it unless he was watching. We'll entertain a couple more here because this is something I wanted to bring up because I knew it was going to happen. Grizzly Oso mentioning Mark Pryor's fault. Nando 390 Dodgers changed up the mechanics and now he's hurt. The Dodgers are going to take a lot of grief for this because of all of the injuries that seem to be befalling Dodgers pitchers in recent vintage. Was this something that was mechanical in your opinion? Obviously, we're not biometric engineers here. We could barely say the two words together, but is this something that was brought on by a change for him mechanically, or is this just he is a pitcher and pitchers are bound to break?
Yeah, in general, I think all pitcher injuries are brought on by the fact that the human body isn't built to do what pitchers do, and him trying to do it with the wrong arm. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, if there's some way to avoid these injuries, none of the smart people working for any of the 30 teams have found it yet,
Mm-hmm.
and so. Whether it was overused, I don't think Tanner Scott has really been that overused. There's been times this year when he's had to pitch 3 times in 4 days or whatever, but every relief pitcher in history has had to do that. It's just the nature of the guys who have been overused are guys who are expendable. Like, hey, Lou Trevino, you're going to pitch every day and then we're going to DFA you. Thanks for
Yeah.
your service.
Mm-hmm.
They've treated Tanner Scott like a well-paid closer. You're going to pitch a lot, but we're going to take care of you. And that doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, I think it's a lot easier to say Dodgers need to fix this than for anybody to actually come up with an idea of how to fix it, because I'm not convinced that it's
Yeah.
fixable other than Major League Baseball making a rule that you're not allowed to throw a ball harder than 93 miles an hour, which, by the way, I am 100% in favor of. Like, I would love that rule. I've got it all mapped out in my head. If I was commissioner, we'd make it happen. Hashtag Jeff for commissioner. But that's the only way to stop pitchers from getting hurt is stop allowing pitchers to throw a baseball hard.
I mean, I agree, but that's not what pays players. But this sounds like a good conversation for not in your car and maybe an off-season conversation. How will Jeff fix Major League Baseball? Ryan R says, "What the Jeff? You look best without the hat, by the way." So you got a shout out for regular head Jeffrey.
So you can see all the rest of my gray hair besides just my gray beard. So
That,
my
that
driver's license still says brown hair, but it also still says 299 pounds. So it's a time capsule to things that used to be true.
He's driving around illegally, ladies and gentlemen. But that's about it. I didn't want to go too long or too deep on this one. That's what she said. It's more of this is an update on where we're at with Tanner Scott. He exits Monday night's game with the forearm injury to reset the stage here. Dodgers are likely without his services in a best case scenario until late September. But we most likely are shocked if he returns again this season. And one last screen I had pulled up as well. I didn't even notice, but Dodgers Analytics, which is a new account I've noticed popping up. That's dropping a lot of good content on Twitter, but I didn't even realize that the pitch before Scott's velocity dropped, which is always another good indicator that there is something wrong in that joint that is not meant to be throwing a baseball that way. And some sort of
That
big injuries happening.
Yeah, that's usually how these things go. One pitch, the pitcher notices something. He's like, I'm going to try one more.
Hmm.
And then he tries the next one and says, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's usually the last two pitches before a guy comes out with injury. And we saw it last year in the postseason. The pitch right before Jack Flaherty gave up the home run to Giancarlo Stanton in game one of the World Series was that fastball that he lost control of. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's, so I still think Flaherty was a little bit hurting when he gave up that homer to Stanton, and you could tell by the pitch before.
Yeah. Well, we don't care about then anymore. We care about now. And we also care about, as people said in the chat, including Diane, including Richie. It's time for Andrew Friedman and the front office to get busy. They were already busy, to get busier because they need to be very active at the trade deadline. I see a center fielder and a closer that the Dodgers will be playing against tonight that would look real good in Dodger blue, and it's real easy. They don't even need to pay for the travel arrangements. Just have them walk on over. But we're going to have that conversation again this afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific time, live on the channel. Tube in for that. Guys, sound off in the comments as well. Let us know who you would like to see the Dodgers go out and acquire. And we'll talk about that this afternoon as well. That is Jeff. Give him a follow, Snydog. I'm Real FRG on the social media machines. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. If you're looking for a different way to support the show, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/RealFRG. Click the join button here on YouTube. Get access to our Discord server, community, conversation, all that kind of stuff. But until the next one, we'll see you. Okay, bye.